Hello again and welcome back to my channel. My name is Patrick Allen. I'm a licensed realtor with Keller Williams Southern Arizona. And in today's video, we'll be discussing real estate. House hacking in 2023 was hard, but this year it got just a little bit easier. Now, while it's easy to say that getting started investing in real estate by purchasing a small multifamily investment property with an FHA or VA loan can be one of the best decisions that you could make to get started on your wealth building journey, due to recent market changes and strict underwriting guidelines, this advice is hardly useful anymore. With the FHA's self-sufficiency test and the VA's mortgage reserve requirement, it's functionally impossible to buy a triplex or fourplex in today's market without putting down a substantial 25% down payment. Or at least that was the case until now. Due to a recent policy shift, newer investors now have a third option to house hack a 2, 3, or 4 unit multifamily property with a mere 5% down payment. Now, today's video will take a quick look at this new loan option, how the market has rendered all other loan types all but obsolete, as well as to give you my thoughts on how this could change the very landscape of house hacking in 2024. Let's take a look. Now, before I get into all the details, I did need to make a quick disclaimer. While I am a full-time licensed realtor who helps people buy and sell multifamily properties here in Tucson, I am not a loan officer or a licensed loan originator, and so I'll be speaking quite generally about financing options. It's my recommendation for you to contact your favorite mortgage partner for more information on qualification guidelines, and to see if this loan might be a better fit for your specific situation. Now, what I will be discussing is how this new loan differs from other available options, and to what extent that makes it easier to get into the game of real estate investing. Now, with that out of the way, let's briefly review what I mean by house hacking. Namely, any sort of investment purchase that also takes advantage of owner-occupant financing. FHA, VA, and low-down conventional loans allow for less money out of pocket when buying the property initially, allowing for more of your own cash to sit in reserves to cover any issues with vacancy or repairs that might pop up in the first couple of years of homeownership, instead of having to leave that money sunk into the property as trapped equity. And by renting out the other units in the building to tenants who pay rent, the cash flow this generates helps to subsidize your housing expenses by making only a portion of your mortgage payment, or by having this entire expense covered by the monthly rent. Your housing affordability improves, which allows you to save more money every month while you house hack. Now, while all of that sounds great to the newer investor who is actually willing to live next door to their tenants, at least for a little while, this advice starts to break down when you consider the two primary loan programs that allow for house hack purchases. Until very recently, that was FHA and VA. Now, VA loans have a couple of drawbacks, not the least of which is that not everybody qualifies for it. VA loans are exclusively a product to be used by active duty and veterans of our U.S. military. And in fact, access to the VA loan is generally considered a perk offered to those willing to serve our country in such a capacity. Although there is no down payment or monthly mortgage insurance costs involved with the VA multifamily purchase, they do generally require 6 months of mortgage payment reserves in order to qualify for the loan initially, which is something that can often be a challenge for those expecting to get into a loan with no cash needed out of pocket. Now, the FHA loan, by contrast, is generally available to most first-time home buyers, even if your credit is not all that great. Now, despite having to pay for PMI, or private mortgage insurance, for the life of the loan, as well as only being able to have one FHA loan at a time, this was the best and only option for civilians to get into a 3 or 4 unit property as an owner-occupant. Now, fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on your perspective, the FHA loan also carries a self-sufficiency test. Essentially, that the rents for all of the units must be at least 25% more than the monthly mortgage payment of your loan to qualify. This can be considered a good thing in that it prevents you from overpaying on a deal where the rents do not even come close to covering your monthly expenses. But more commonly, this is seen as a negative in today's market because very few properties have current rents high enough to cover today's 6 to 7% interest rates. In reality, FHA loans stopped being a viable option to get into a triplex or fourplex over a year ago. And so if you were not in the military or simply preferred not to use a VA loan on this purchase, you're pretty much forced to stick with a duplex or to go for a single family option. But all of that changed in November of 2023 when Fannie Mae announced a change to lending guidelines to allow for as little as a 5% down payment on a 2, 3, or 4 unit property. With this new third option for financing, not only are you able to pursue a deal that would not pass the FHA self-sufficiency test, but conventional financing also allows the borrower to pay down or to completely buy out their mortgage insurance, rather than being stuck with it for the life of the loan as it is with FHA. This is an absolute game changer for you house hackers out there. In a market where affordability is harder and harder to find, this new loan product allows more new investors to get into their first deal by allowing for many more deals to actually qualify for house hack financing. And with the ability to pay more for A-class properties likely to see rental increases over time, allowing the home buyer the potential to buy into better areas of town, even if the current rental income might not fully support the new debt before improvements can be made to the property. And so if you've ever thought about getting into that next house hack purchase, but didn't find FHA or VA loans to be a fit for your situation, right now would be an excellent time to check in with your favorite mortgage partner and see what you might qualify for. As a realtor who specializes in house hacking small multifamily properties, this is one of the more exciting announcements recently made to help spur along the market in 2024. So if you're still paying rent and are looking to turn the tables by owning a property where tenants pay you, I can help you make that a reality. Leave me a note in the comments or reach out to me directly and we can sync up. So that's all I got for today's message. Be sure to check back frequently to be kept up to date on all you need to know about the ever-changing home buying market here in Tucson. We'll see you on the next one.